Okay, so you want to be a rooms division manager. That's awesome. You're talking about a job that's all about leadership, knowing how to run things, and making sure guests have amazing experiences. And to land a gig like that, you've got to nail that interview. So that's what we're diving into today, getting you ready to impress those hiring managers.
Yeah, no doubt. Being prepared is super important. And we're not just talking about some generic advice here. We're going to break down those common interview questions you'll get for a rooms division manager, figure out what they're really asking, and then help you come up with answers that really show off your strengths and experience.
Let's get right to it. What's a question that tends to trip people up in these interviews?
One that often throws people off is, tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult guest. It's a classic, and it's all about seeing how you handle conflict and keep your cool under pressure.
Makes sense. So how should someone tackle that question?
The key is to show empathy, that you're a problem solver and you're professional. Don't just tell the story. Focus on the steps you took to really get what the guest was upset about, the solution you came up with, and what happened because of it. Were you able to smooth things over, maybe even turn a bad experience into a good one? That's what they want to hear.
Having a specific example ready to go is crucial. What about those behavioral questions like, describe a time you had to motivate your team? Those always seem a bit trickier.
You're right, those are about showing off your leadership style. Think back to a time you needed to really inspire your team, maybe to hit a tough goal or start a new project. What did you do? Did you focus on clear communication, delegate tasks effectively, or maybe offer extra support and encouragement?
It's about showing those leadership skills in action, not just saying I'm a good leader. Now, I'm curious about the more technical side. Rooms division managers use a lot of software systems. How can someone prove they know their stuff in that area during an interview?
That's where your knowledge of property management systems, PMS, and customer relationship management, CRM tools is important. Interviewers might ask about your experience with certain software or how you use technology to streamline operations or make the guest experience better.
So it's not enough to just list the software you've used. You have to explain how you've used it effectively. I know RoleCatcher has a ton of resources for interview prep. Can you tell us more about how their platform can help someone specifically with their rooms division manager interview?
RoleCatcher is like having a personal interview coach right there on your phone. They've got a huge collection of interview questions for specific roles, including Rooms Division Manager. What's really cool is their AI-powered feedback system. You can practice your answers, and the AI will actually analyze them and give you suggestions for improvement.
That's super helpful, like having an expert look over your answers and tell you what to improve before you even walk into the interview.
You got it. It's all about fine-tuning your answers and making sure you're highlighting the skills and experience that are most relevant for the job.
So no generic advice. It's personalized feedback based on the specific job description. That's amazing. I bet that kind of tailored prep can really boost a candidate's confidence.
Absolutely. Confidence is key in any interview, especially for a leadership position.
Okay, let's get back to those interview questions. One that I've always found interesting is, how would you describe your leadership style? Seems simple enough, but there's a right and a wrong way to answer that one.
You're absolutely right. They want to understand how you lead and how that fits with the hotel's culture and what the role demands. You got to be authentic and genuine in your answer.
So don't give a canned response or try to be someone you're not.
Exactly. Think about your past experience and find a few key words that sum up your leadership style. Are you collaborative, results-oriented, supportive, or maybe a mix of different styles?
And be ready to give real examples of how you've shown those leadership qualities. Stories always make answers more engaging and memorable. Speaking of stories, what about questions like, tell me about a time you had to make a difficult decision? Those can be tough.
You're right, those can be tough. Interviewers want to understand how you think things through, your judgment, and whether you can weigh different factors before making a choice.
So what's the best way to go about answering it? Should you have a specific story in mind?
Absolutely. Pick a situation that shows off your problem-solving skills in a tough spot. Walk them through the challenge, what options you had, what you decided to do, and what happened as a result.
And it's okay to talk about what you learned from the experience, even if it didn't go perfectly right.
Exactly. Showing you can learn and grow from tough calls, that's a valuable leadership quality. Let's shift gears for a second, talk about those questions about hotel operations. I mean, as a rooms division manager, you're the one who makes sure everything runs without a hitch. What if they ask, how would you handle it if the hotel was overbooked?
Oof. That's every hotel guest's nightmare, and it puts a ton of pressure on the room's division manager to fix it. How should someone answer that effectively?
First things first, emphasize how committed you are to guest satisfaction, even when things go wrong. Lay out the steps you'd take to make sure guests are inconvenienced as little as possible, like finding them somewhere else to stay, offering something to make up for it, and just going above and beyond to turn that bad experience around.
So it's about showing you can solve problems, think on your feet,
Yeah.
and that you're dedicated to making sure the guest has a good experience. Seems like having some kind of plan, even a general one, could really help in those high-pressure moments.
Absolutely. Having a framework for common problems like overbookings or guest complaints can help you stay calm and collected under pressure.
Now, we talked about this a little earlier, but I want to go back to technology in the rooms division. It's getting more and more important in the hospitality industry.
Hmm?
How might interviewers figure out if a candidate is tech-savvy enough for this role?
They might ask about specific software, like property management systems, PMS, or revenue management systems, RMS. They want to know if you get how to use those tools to make operations smoother, manage reservations, look at data, and just overall make the guest experience better.
So it's not just knowing how to use the software, it's understanding how it affects the bigger picture of running a successful hotel.
Exactly. A good candidate will be able to talk about how they've used technology to streamline processes, be more efficient, or improve guest satisfaction in their previous jobs.
Now, going back to RoleCatcher for a minute, I'm curious how their platform can help people get ready for those tech-focused questions.
RoleCatcher's AI is pretty amazing. It can actually look at job descriptions and figure out the specific software and tech skills that are most important for that job. Then, it can give you practice questions and feedback to help you really nail your answers in those areas.
So if a particular rooms division manager job requires experience with a specific revenue management system, RoleCatcher can make sure you're ready to talk about it in detail.
Exactly. It's like having a custom study guide that's made for the exact job you want.
That's so valuable. Okay, let's switch gears again and talk about questions about a candidate's experience and career goals. What if they ask, what are your salary expectations for this role? That one always makes me nervous.
It's a common one, and you should be ready to answer confidently and realistically. Do your homework beforehand, figure out the typical salary range for this job in your area, and consider your own experience and skills.
So don't be afraid to stand up for yourself and what you're worth.
For sure. And keep in mind, salary isn't everything. Think about the whole package: benefits, bonuses, opportunities to grow professionally.
That's a great point. Sometimes those extras can be just as good as a bigger paycheck. What about those questions about career goals, like where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Ah, the classic future you question. They use it to figure out how ambitious you are, what your long-term vision is, and how much thought you've put into your career path. They want to see that you're driven, that you have goals, and that this role fits into your overall career aspirations.
So avoid giving a vague answer or sounding unsure about your future plans.
Exactly. Think about your career goals and how this job helps you reach them. Do you see yourself taking on more responsibility, maybe leading a bigger team, or moving up to a more senior management position down the line?
It's all about showing them that you're invested in growing your career and that you see this role as a stepping stone to bigger and better things. Now, one question I've always found interesting is, why are you interested in working for this particular hotel or hotel chain? Seems simple, but it's a chance to show you've done your research.
Yeah, you really got to know your stuff. It's not enough to just say, oh, you've got a great reputation. You got to dig deeper. Talk about what really made you interested in them. Have you stayed at their hotels? Were you impressed with their service? Do you like their commitment to sustainability, or maybe their company culture?
It's about showing that you've done your research, you understand their values, and you can see yourself fitting in and being successful there.
Exactly. And that's true even if you're applying for a similar job at a different hotel. What is it about this new opportunity that gets you excited? Maybe it's the chance to work with a bigger team, a different kind of guest, or maybe there's a specific project they're doing that you're really into.
It's about showing them you're not just looking for any job. You're looking for the right fit for your skills and what you want to do in your career. We've covered a lot today, from dealing with those tough guests to handling those tricky salary questions. Any last words of wisdom for someone about to go into a rooms division manager interview?
I'd say just be yourself. It's normal to be a little nervous, but try to relax and let your personality show. They want to see who you are as a person, not just a bunch of qualifications on a piece of paper.
Authenticity goes a long way.
Yeah.
It helps them picture you on their team, being successful and contributing to the hotel.
Exactly. So be confident, be enthusiastic, and most importantly, just be yourself.
Such good advice.
Yeah.
And speaking of helpful resources, don't forget about RoleCatcher. Their platform can really help you prepare for that interview.
For sure. Their AI feedback is great for fine-tuning your answers and seeing where you can add more detail or give better examples. And their library of questions specifically for rooms division manager roles is super helpful for practicing your responses.
Like having a secret weapon. Okay, one last thought for our listeners as they get ready to go after those rooms division manager jobs. Remember, this role is about more than just managing rooms. It's about creating incredible experiences, building a strong team, and playing a part in the success of a really exciting and always changing industry. It's challenging, it's rewarding, and it all starts with acing that interview. So go out there, be prepared, be confident, and go knock 'em dead.